understand, raise your hand and ask her to explain it, okay? All right?
So how are you all doing this afternoon? Good. So, basically, you can call me Miss Boomie. Yeah, that's...
Hello, Miss Boomie.
Hello.
Hello. So I'm really excited to talk to you guys today. I've given presentations before, but I think this is probably the youngest group, and that's great. So when I was young, when I was your age, I was interested in science, technology, etc. But I didn't really start programming. I know some people talk about how they were programming at 10 or something. That wasn't me. So it's great if you're able to start at a young age, but even if you don't, I don't think I started programming until my mid to late teens. In fact, I remember when I was young, my parents had a computer and somehow I broke it. You know, don't do that. Okay. So when I went to college and actually studied mechanical engineering, you know, and my first computer class, I hated it. You know, the programs you guys are using to build software, you know, it does some things for you, but when I was doing it, it was very precise. If you put a semicolon in the wrong place, the program would just completely go haywire, and I didn't like it at first. But sometimes when things are difficult, instead of avoiding them, you jump into it even further, and that's what I did. So after my bachelor's, I decided to get a master's in computer science. And so I learned a lot about programming, developing software, and making them work. That's, you know, I've been doing that for probably longer than most of you have been alive. So one thing you'll find out as you continue working with computers is that the languages change, the capabilities change. So when I started developing computer software, you know, we had big computers, things that, and now we have watches that can do more than what some of the programs in those days could do. So computer technology is always changing, and for me, that's one of the things that keeps it interesting. So, you know, my career, I still have been developing for, you know, about 20 years now. So I've worked on things from banking software to a mobile application that makes exercise fun. You know, I've written little programs that you use in, you know, how many of you use Slack? Probably not. Only the grown-ups. Facebook Messenger, KIK. Okay. So, you know, in chat programs, there are these things now called bots, which are supposed to be like ways that a computer program can talk to you in a way that feels a little more natural. So rather than typing in computer language, you're talking to it in more natural ways. Alexa, or Echo?
Siri?
Siri? Yeah, okay.
She knows Siri.
You know Siri. So those are some of the things. So I mean, right now I actually work at National Public Radio and PR. And okay, and even with the radio station, you wouldn't normally think a radio station might use a lot of technology, but the great thing about technology is every industry uses it, from astronauts in space to medical to radio. So some of the things we do at NPR is we have it so you can, you know, you have apps that can give you podcasts, you know, or that can, you can tell your Alexa to read stories to you without even touching a device, you know. So basically, you know, I've been developing software, various software, you know, or managing it. For a while I had, you know, I had a business where we developed applications, and like I said, the nice thing about software is you can do a wide range of things, never get bored, and for me that's what makes it interesting. So I went from thinking this sucks, how does anybody do this, to actually really loving what I do. Any questions?
What's the hardest software to develop in your opinion?
It depends. you know, some are hard to learn, but once you learn them, they're easy to use, and some are easy to learn, you know, but once you learn them, they're hard to use. And then there's others in between. So most of my experience has been in Java. I doubt any of you know what that is. Anyone?
It's not.
You know Java? Oh, wow. Yeah, so for me, Java, when I learned Java, it wasn't that hard to learn, but it wasn't my first language either. I do feel like once you learn one programming language, it's much easier to learn the others. So most people will tell you that the first one they learned was the hardest, because you have to go from thinking like a human to thinking like a computer. But once you learn how to think like a computer, learning the additional languages is basically learning new syntax. You know, so instead of, say, if you have a loop, for example, where do the parts of the loop go? Is it for, or is it while, or is it do? Where do the semicolons go, the colons go? And those kind of things you can are a little easier to pick up if you at least understand what a loop is supposed to do. Does that help? I mean, 10 years ago, I would have told someone interested in software to learn Java. Now it varies. PHP is popular, Python's popular, you know, and there are learning how to. It really also really depends on what you're developing for. If you're trying to develop apps, you know, for phones, you need to learn something like Swift or Xcode. But if you're still developing for a bank, you may want to learn COBOL. So it kind of depends, but the main idea is learn something and then be open to continuing to learn, because it's going to change. That was a good question, though.
What inspired you to code?
So I've always been curious. I've always wanted to learn how to make things do things. You know? So when I was about your age, I had like any time a light bulb burns in the house, I would save it because I wanted to revive it. Never did, but that was my goal at that time. And so the nice thing about, you know, to me about computers is I can write something and make it do something, and something cool. You know, so for example, the mobile application we had for exercise, we had people using this who for the first time in their life found exercise fun. They were losing weight, they were getting more energy, and it was cool to think I was part of the team that made that happen, that made a change in people's lives. And even though that application isn't around anymore, we still have people contacting me saying, you don't understand the difference you made in my life. And so for me, that's what makes it cool. Like I can go from like a blank screen to a program or an application that is doing something and impacting somebody's life. Any other questions?
Don't be shy.
Thank you, Ms. Boomie, then.
Say thank you, Boomie. Yay!
All right, next. Mr. Madrid's guy is going to talk to you about what he does, and also it's on Blue Eye Technology, okay?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. My name is Madris Guy. Some of my students call me Professor Guy, teacher, professor. I teach college courses. I teach cybersecurity, information assurance, software development, which is things you're doing. I'm a computer scientist, senior computer scientist. I developed software for over 13 years. I don't like developing software. I love developing software. I love it, I do. Like I have just an affection for developing software. The same way this previous speaker said, it's because you get to solve a whole bunch of problems. I love solving problems. Software development, you get to solve problems. I am a certified ethical hacker. I know how to computer hack. Yeah.
Yeah.